The Cold War, a global conflict that shaped the latter half of the 20th century without a single shot fired directly between its main adversaries. This era of geopolitical tension between the United States and the Soviet Union influenced international relations, domestic policies, and technological advancements for decades. The Cold War began in the aftermath of World War II and lasted until the fall of the Soviet Union in 1991. It was characterized by a struggle for global influence between two superpowers with opposing ideologies: American capitalism and Soviet communism. The seeds of conflict were sown as World War II came to a close. The United States and the Soviet Union, once allies against Nazi Germany, found themselves at odds over the future of post-war Europe. The Iron Curtain, as Winston Churchill famously described it, divided the continent into Western and Eastern blocs. One of the earliest crises of the Cold War was the Berlin blockade of 1948. The Soviet Union, attempting to gain full control of Berlin, blocked all road and rail access to West Berlin. In response, the Western Allies organized the Berlin Airlift, flying in supplies to the besieged city for nearly a year until the Soviets lifted the blockade. The Korean War, which began in 1950, marked the Cold War's transition from a European conflict to a global one. When North Korea invaded South Korea, the United States led a United Nations force to defend the South, while China and the Soviet Union supported the North. The war ended in stalemate, setting a pattern for future proxy conflicts. The space race became a defining feature of the Cold War, symbolizing the technological and ideological competition between the superpowers. It began with the Soviet launch of Sputnik 1 in 1957 and culminated with the American moon landing in 1969. This period saw rapid advancements in rocket technology and space exploration. Perhaps the most dangerous moment of the Cold War came in 1962 with the Cuban Missile Crisis. The discovery of Soviet nuclear missiles in Cuba brought the world to the brink of nuclear war. Through tense negotiations, the crisis was resolved, but it highlighted the potentially catastrophic consequences of the Cold War. The Vietnam War, lasting from 1955 to 1975, was another significant proxy conflict. The United States' involvement in supporting South Vietnam against the Communist North ultimately ended in failure, impacting American foreign policy for years to come. The 1970s saw a period of détente, or easing of hostilities. This era was marked by arms limitation talks and increased diplomatic relations between the superpowers. However, tensions never fully dissipated. The Soviet invasion of Afghanistan in 1979 marked the end of détente and the beginning of a new phase of confrontation. The United States supported Afghan rebels, turning the conflict into another Cold War proxy battle. The Cold War began to wind down in the late 1980s. Mikhail Gorbachev's policies of glasnost and perestroika led to increased openness in the Soviet Union. The fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 symbolized the crumbling of communist regimes across Eastern Europe. The Cold War officially ended with the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991. Its legacy, however, continues to influence global politics today. The period reshaped international alliances, spurred technological innovation, and left an indelible mark on culture and society worldwide. Understanding the key events and turning points of the Cold War provides crucial insight into the forces that have shaped our modern world.